It is back. The excitement, the drama, the intrigue, and the skullduggery. The Premier League has landed Monday morning, and Harry Kane has not turned up for training. This is huge. This is symbolic of what this season is going to be. There is about to be one of the most dramatic, intense, and aggressive transfer sagas that the Premier League has ever seen. Harry Kane is a man who has been a true professional for his whole career. He has decided not to turn up for training. And he has done that off the basis of what he's referring to as a gentleman's agreement that he has with Daniel Levy. Daniel Levy is a man who we know negotiates hard. In fact, a little bit later in this video, we have a case study of the way that Daniel Levy likes to operate. But what we do know about him is that he takes no prisoners. I think Michael Carrick referred to negotiating with him as he may as well have been speaking to a brick wall. More about that later. But what this means for the Premier League, it means that Harry Kane is desperate for his move. It means that Harry Kane will do his best to try and play for Manchester City. Kane has been in the Bahamas. He's been relaxing after guiding England to a final at Euro 2020. Today was the day that he was due back at Tottenham Way. And he isn't there. He isn't there. His new manager was waiting for him. He had certain tests that he needed to do to see how his fitness was, to see how his ankle was holding up. And he hasn't turned up. This is very unlike Kane, and it's an insight into how desperate he must be to get away from Tottenham Hotspur. He must be doing everything he can in order to get this move over the line. The appeal of Manchester City is obvious, isn't it? Everything that Manchester City offer is what Kane needs. Nothing in football is guaranteed, but the closest thing to a guarantee is the Etihad and silverware. Not many things are more intrinsically linked than silverware and Sheikh Mansour's Man City. He will virtually guarantee silverware if he makes this move. When he's looking at the goings-on at City as well, when you think about what's happening there and what's happening at Tottenham, Tottenham have brought in a manager that they clearly didn't want, a manager that they previously discounted. Simultaneously, the champions are going after Jack Grealish. The champions already have Kevin De Bruyne. In fact, Harry Kane has spoken of his admiration about Kevin De Bruyne. Can you imagine Harry Kane leading the line with Mahrez, Sterling, Foden, Grealish and De Bruyne providing him with assists? That is 40 goals for Harry Kane. The fact that he could be lining up with De Bruyne means that he's obviously desperate to make this happen. And City obviously want him. They've already had a £100 million bid turned down. But Kane is obviously going to do all he can to agitate for this move. And I think it leads us on to a debate. Adam McCullough and I actually clashed fairly passionately on the kickoff, where I was saying that Harry Kane is a true professional. He is conducting himself in an admirable way and is a model professional. Adam was saying that it's a little bit smoke and mirrors, and he believes that if certain other players behaved in the way that Kane has done, having the conversation with Gary Neville, it would be a slightly different narrative. I actually feel sorry for Kane. The question actually comes down to this. Do you believe that a gentleman's agreement with Daniel Levy happened? Was there a conversation where Daniel Levy and Harry Kane had a gentleman's agreement where they said that he could leave this year? If that conversation happened, then Harry Kane is justified. If that conversation did not happen, then I think it's fair to say that Harry Kane, despite deserving a move, despite me thinking that he should get his move, and I think when we explore the motivations of Kane, but also what Tottenham would get out of the move, it feels like it could suit all parties. But we do have some good news. We have a case study to analyse that will give us a little bit of an insight into how this one could play out. I often say that history teaches us about the future, and we do have an example of Daniel Levy's conduct in a similar situation. It was one of Daniel Levy's first big moments in his role at Tottenham, and let's have a little bit of an exploration as to how that one played out to see if it gives us an insight as to how this one could go. So when Levy first came to prominence at Tottenham, it was unsurprisingly regarding a sale. And it was the sale of Michael Carrick in 2006 to Manchester United. Michael Carrick has spoken quite openly and quite candidly about how it all played out and how he felt Daniel Levy treated him, treated the potential move and treated Manchester United. It is not good news for Harry Kane. Harry Kane has tied himself to Tottenham on a 6-year deal that expires in 2024. Levy seems desperate to keep him there until that time, and some sources are suggesting that the only way Levy will actually allow this move to happen is if the number starts with a 2. That is the quote that I read. If the number starts with a 2, Levy will negotiate. The issues between Tottenham and Manchester United on trying to make this deal happen were going on and on and on, and Michael Carrick was becoming so frustrated. He felt like he needed this move in order to reach his full potential. It's history repeating itself with Harry Kane, isn't it? Michael Carrick desperately needed a move to Manchester in order to fulfil his potential, in order to be the best that he could be, and in order for his trophy cabinet to reflect the brilliance as a football player. This is a carbon copy of what is going on with Harry Kane. Michael Carrick was so frustrated with the way that Levy was conducting himself, he wasn't talking to Manchester United, he wasn't allowing it to happen, that Carrick called Levy directly. And Levy's answer was very simple. They need to pay the money. That's all he said. He said, they need to pay the money. That is the only thing that he said to Michael Carrick. Michael Carrick said, and this is a quote, he said, "I would have got more change talking to a brick wall than I did Daniel Levy." That is a worry for Kane. And you could see why Daniel Levy is saying 200 million. Of course, that's ridiculous. Of course, it's too much money. But when you think about the valuation of Kane, and of course I mean this with regard to goals, but also what he means to the club, the statement that he is to the club. His goals obviously very important, but what does Harry Kane mean to Tottenham? Harry Kane means that Tottenham have a decent chance of qualifying for the Champions League. Harry Kane means that Tottenham have a decent chance of attracting other players. Harry Kane means that they have a decent chance of attracting more season ticket holders. Harry Kane means that they have a decent chance of filling that brilliant stadium. Harry Kane means so many things to Tottenham. I mean, it's simple maths, and you can see why they're so desperate to keep hold of him. But this is different to even the Gareth Bale situation. Harry Kane is Tottenham. We often say, and it's a fairly standard quote that's thrown out there, no player is bigger than the club. But when you analyse what Harry Kane means to Tottenham, the state that Tottenham are in, the state of the squad, the manager that they have, the feeling among the fans, you do start to wonder quite how important Harry Kane is. And you do start to understand why Daniel Levy is so desperate to keep him. The only thing that we could bring up here, and something that could benefit Kane, is Daniel Levy's stance isn't quite as sure-footed as it once was. All of these other deals, Levy had leverage and he had security. Whereas now, Tottenham fairly recently took out a government loan. They owe 1.2 billion on that stadium. They aren't in a strong financial situation. And if they were to bring in excess of £150 million, that could offset a lot of their problems. It would create others, but it would offset a lot of their problems. So this is very interesting, but Harry Kane not turning up for training, to me, is the beginning of the end of his Tottenham career. I didn't think he would do that. I thought he was a man that would stay true to his contract. I didn't think he put in a transfer request, and I certainly assumed he would turn up for training. Adam McCullough's suggestions that this is a reflection of Harry Kane's character and how he's not quite the model professional, I don't necessarily agree with, and I do genuinely look forward to exploring it with him and all of the boys on the kickoff very, very soon. But this is massive, and the Premier League is well and truly back. I hope you've enjoyed this video. I've enjoyed making it. I genuinely don't know how this plays out now. It's a thoroughly exciting situation, but I can also guarantee you that this is about to become as tedious, time-consuming, toxic and poisonous for everyone involved, and I love it. I hope you've enjoyed this video. If you have, please consider clicking subscribe. It really does help me out. See you in a bit.